Hey there, and just for fun, what I'm going to do is I'm going to list off a bunch of TV shows for you. And let's see how long it takes you guys to figure out exactly what it has in common. Then we're going to get to the topic behind this video right here. Some of these you may know and some of these you won't. But I'm going to list a wide range, so hopefully everybody will know at least one or two of these shows. So read them right off the screen. Orphan Black, Lost Girl, Human Target, Defiance, Continuum, Arrow, Once Upon a Time, True Calling, the 2003 Twilight Zone series, The Vampire Diaries, The Lone Gunman, the good seasons of the Sliders, The Dresden Files, The Dead Zone, Taken, Supernatural, Strange Days at Blake Holsey High, Stargate Universe, Stargate Atlantis, Smallville, Mutant X, have you got it yet? Jeremiah, Kingdom Hospital, Harper's Island, Eureka, Fear Itself, Caprica, Battlestar Galactica, the new series, Andromeda, The 44, Are You Afraid of the Dark, The X-Files, first 5 seasons, Stargate SG-1, RoboCop the series, that may have given it away, VR5, Sci-Factor, Goosebumps, The Outer Limits, Poltergeist Legacy, The Pretender, Highlander, Forever Knight, The Crow, Erie, Indiana, The Other Dimension. And well, there's a crap load more, but I think I've read out enough. If you've watched or enjoyed any of those shows, then you've seen My Native Land, and welcome to Canadian content, because every one of those series that I mentioned out, with a long list of others, I could have went into House of Frightenstein, I could have even went to animation, like the original 67 Spider-Man series. All those are shows done in Canada with a lot of Canadian content, actors, and such. If you watch, especially the first few seasons of X-Files, you've seen almost every Canadian character actor that's out there, because they show up. Same with Stargate or any of those shows. Most of those are filmed in places like Vancouver, British Columbia, Ontario, Republic of Doyle, which is finally ending, not finally ending, because sad to see it go, but it's getting its completion, is a detective show, much like the Rockford Files, and it's filmed right here in St. John's, Newfoundland. I wanted to talk about this because basically a lot of times people forget exactly how much content, media-wise, comes out of Canada, and I'm pretty proud of Canada that way. We've been pretty much on the cusp when it comes to, we sell ourselves short, and a lot of times more so than any other place that like we will sell ourselves short. Other people won't so much, or other people end up selling us short because honestly, we tend to like downplay stuff that we do. But as far as, if you're a genre fan, if you're a sci-fi, horror, television genre fan, if you're a slasher fan, then, well, a good portion of all the stuff that you grew up watching that you probably thought was American or some other country, it was actually shot right here in Canada, and in some cases, places that as a kid I would pass by when I lived up in Ontario. I remember seeing, what was the movie? Happy Birthday to Me, and films like My Bloody Valentine, and like just like really kind of like being stoked to realize, okay, yeah, I know some of these places. I had Black Christmas, yeah, that's up in Ontario. I can pick out some of those places. I know these actors. They're on my television all the time. I watch SCTV. I grew up with that. It's like Saturday Night Live, except it's funnier. No, actually, it really is. If you haven't seen SCTV, you really have to see it. It took comedy at that stage to another level. It went beyond going to like a skits. It did skits and stuff, but it went beyond that to making this full-fledged, like, cheesy network with behind-the-scenes characters and running gags and shows, and people came out of it, like the Mackenzie brothers became really famous in movies like Strange Brew, Camp Floyd, of course. We had Ed Grimley come out of that. It would go on be on Saturday Night Live as well. Martin Short is the actor, and just a lot of fantastic names and stuff. I remember watching a lot of really, really good shows, and even as a kid, I would be like, too bad this wasn't done here. Why can't we make anything good here in Canada? And I did that when I was a kid, because everywhere else but where you're living seems like the coolest place in the world. And it's only when you get older and you got like foresight, hindsight's 20/20, that you realize, hey, stuff around you actually, it's kind of cool, and you start to realize that a lot of the stuff that you were watching that you thought was somewhere else was actually not filmed. Was filmed not that far away. I'm very proud of the fact that Canadian government back in the 80s gave like tax breaks to horror films. Well, that's why we got such a great horror films here around in the 80s. We got Cronenberg. We got just some amazing slasher films, just some amazing different horror, some really different experimental stuff that some was fantastic and some was like Cannibal Girls. It was so bad it was good. Trust me, you've got to see Cannibal Girls. If you haven't seen it, you really, really should. And this is the stuff that I grew up with. Canada at times can have a major inferiority complex, which is not as bad now as it was when I was younger. But as far as the shows go, I'm just looking. I went Canadian content shows, and Canadian like shows filmed in Canada, and I knew like a lot of these. I knew First Wave and Beastmaster. I knew all those were filmed here. Forever Night, of course, because I had one of my favorite character actors, Jarrett Wynn Davies, who was in also my favorite episode of the series The Highlander, where basically he plays a Highlander that has kind of a split personality. It's a really dark episode. I'm a big Highlander fan, like the TV series. I liked the film, the original film, and I watched the subsequent ones, but the TV series, this was the case where the TV adaptation of this film series was so far above even the original source material. You couldn't believe it. And Christopher Lambert actually shows up in the TV series, in the pilot. And I have to say, Duncan was a better Highlander. And kind of a more kick-ass one too. But there's my rant. That's not a rant, it's really, it's my talk today. I want to talk about Canadian content, and there's so much out there. If you just check Google, shows, sci-fi shows filmed in Canada, and just look at exactly how much of the stuff that you probably grew up with that's actually Canadian. When I was a kid and I was watching the Spider-Man, like the animated series, not the 90s one, but the 60s one that played all through the 70s and 80s, along with Super Friends and all those shows. Little did I know that all these like Marvel animated shows were all being like done in like in-house here in Canada, and voiced by Spider-Man was voiced completely by Canadian actors. Paul Soles was a famous Canadian actor that I watched on TV in the afternoon on this kind of funny like Guess the Law type of game show. Britain had a series very much like it, and Canada and Britain kind of go hand in hand in the type of programming that we put out. Actually, when Doctor Who came back on the air in the early 2000s, in 2005, I think. Oh man, I can't remember the year. But when Doctor Who came back on the air, it was actually a British-Canadian kind of a co-production. So we actually helped bring Doctor Who back, and it was, well, not we, I had nothing to do with it, but my government helped bring Doctor Who back, which is a source of pride, and the reason that we were able to get Doctor Who on time when it first came out. I don't think we have anything to do with the production now. That snapped a while back, and then BBC took over complete control as the show became more popular. But there, guys. I hope I didn't bore you with that. I just want to talk Canadian content. And what's your favorite show done in Canada? Did you know that the shows that I listed out were done in Canada? Are you like rolling your eyes thinking, yes, trust me, I know they're done in Canada? But let me know what your favorites are. For me, I liked a lot of shows. I liked Theory Indiana, The Other Dimension. Very dark ending to the original series by what they did. And just some really cool stuff. I watched Earth Fauna Complex, Gene Roddenberry's show. I watched Spider-Man. I watched a lot of shows. FX, the series, doesn't get a lot of love. MacGyver, I watched that show. That was filmed here. And, of course, Ray Bradbury, Airwolf, War of the Worlds, My Secret Identity. I grew up with My Secret Identity. I watched the chubby kid from from Stand By Me grew up into an adult that would go on to marry, well, Mystique from the original X-Men films, Rebecca Romaine Stamos. Yeah, he was married to her. Think about that for a second. And of course, Larry's House of Frightenstein. Great shows. Thanks for watching. This has been Canadian Content. Hope you enjoyed it, and let me know your thoughts down below, the shows you liked, and if you did watch Canadian shows growing up. If you're Canadian, like me, and you did have that, our shows from other countries better? Well, maybe not. For me right now, my cup is almost empty, and I'm doing some laundry tonight, so it's time for tea.